Tonight, the fight to prevent nuclear waste travelling through our region and why new regional airport funding won't go far enough.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Casey Treelaw begins now.
Good evening. Environmental activists are calling on the government for greater transparency about the movement of nuclear material proposed to be stored at Kimba or Hawker. Meeting with groups across the state this week, they're raising concerns about the waste being transported by land and sea.
The waste material that continues to create community uproar. 2 sites at Kimba and 1 at Hawker have been shortlisted to host the nuclear waste facility, but the wider Spencer Gulf region could also be affected.
These places are all linked by the proposed road or ship transport of radioactive waste.
A report last year specifically named the ports in Whyalla, Port Pirie and Port Lincoln as potential locations to receive waste shipped from New South Wales. Friends of the Earth activist Mara Bonacci says the towns haven't had a chance to speak up.
Those communities have not been consulted or part of the consultation process at all.
The environmental group has been meeting with communities across regional SA to discuss how they could be affected by a transport plan.
It could be safe and things might go in the other way, and the point is that these communities should be consulted and part of a transparent and accountable process.
And with the federal election looming, the activists say they've seen positive signs from Labor, who at their conference in December committed to responsible radioactive waste management.
We're saying to Labor, welcome the fact that you've committed to responsible radioactive waste management. That means you need to do things differently and do things better.
And in a statement, the Department for Innovation and Science said, first it needs to find a site, then there will be future consultation on transport routes. Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Roads on the Eyre Peninsula will benefit from a federal government budget cash splurge. $100 million has been allocated for much-needed improvements on the Eyre and Todd highways.
It's the lifeline of the nation's road network, connecting east to west. The Eyre Highway forms part of National Highway 1, with a variety of vehicles using it every day.
Up to 40 trucks an hour on that route, incidentally, as I drive along it. So it's not only a major freight route, but it's a major route for caravans, cars.
$100 million has been allocated to improve the health of roads on the EP. A majority of that funding will go towards making the Eyre Highway a safer route.
An ongoing program of widening out, strengthening up, levelling up surfaces that become uneven.
Further south, the Todd Highway at Port Lincoln looks set for a $25 million much-needed revamp. A central feature will be converting the final 4 k's of railway into a whole road for trucks. Mr Ramsey says while it's still yet to be finalised, he believes it's the best way to deal with the closure of the local railway system.
They won't have to face, or very few intersections actually going in under the railway bridges, so they won't interfere with Port Lincoln traffic at all.
The RAA has welcomed the announcement, saying it's needed to cope with an expected increase in traffic.
It's essential to enable the movement of all the freight, agriculture and to support tourism as well.
John Hunt, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Labor's Federal Shadow Water Minister Tony Burke says if elected, a Labor government will aim for better environmental outcomes across the Murray-Darling Basin. Mr Burke says he would make the health of the Ailing River system a priority should Labor take office. He says under the Water Act, the party could use its power to influence the basin states to help the environment. After months of uncertainty, Broken Hill will soon have a permanent magistrate sitting at the local court. Since late 2017, the role has been relieved by fly-in, fly-out magistrates who have covered the Broken Hill, Wilcannia and Wentworth circuit. The appointment is said to give court users and the region's legal profession some certainty. The new magistrate will commence sitting at the end of this month. Port Pirie Council has identified an opportunity for development around the old abattoir site. An industrial zone has been highlighted as an ideal area to accommodate large-scale activities and bulk handling facilities. Since the abattoir's closure in 2006, 58 hectares of land has been left underutilised.
I think that site hasn't been used for 13 years, but in the not too distant, you'll probably see some employment opportunities popping up in that area.
Macmahon Group have submitted a development application to Council to build a grain bulk handling and storage facility for the site. Whyalla Council will review its airport master plan after the announcement of new federal government funding. $100 million is now available to upgrade ageing regional facilities. However, there's concerns it doesn't go far enough.
As Whyalla takes off on the back of Sanjeev Gupta's investment, Council wants a local airport on board. It's working on a master plan for the site to complement the predicted growth of the city. CEO Chris Cowley says the plans will improve the area.
Strengthening and widening a main runway, but also constructing a second runway, cater for a lot of the modern planes that are coming through.
The federal government is offering itself as a co-pilot, setting aside $100 million for regional airport upgrades in the budget. It's money Whyalla Council is interested in applying for.
Look how best we can put in submissions to get some of those funds to come our way.
However, the future of regional aviation is still hitting some turbulence. Centre Alliance Senator Rex Patrick says there's still no money available to support new security guidelines, which he says could ground services due to the cost.
Home Affairs decided to introduce these new security requirements. They did no modelling at all in respect of how it will affect communities.
Mr Cowley says discussions on that subject are continuing.
Where there is a lot of conversations happening around this matter.
John Hunt, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, why Queensland floodwaters could help tourism in the far north, and hundreds of new defibrillators installed across the state. Hello again. Tourism operators are optimistic as the deluge from this year's Queensland floods slowly makes its way into the far north of South Australia. They hope the water could provide the land with a green tinge to help boost tourism this season.
A much-needed drink for outback communities.
Now that entire area was dry 1 hour ago.
The excess floodwater that devastated Queensland has been welcomed with open arms by far north towns as it moves into Lake Eyre.
Good time for me to head up to some higher ground, I think.
But the real winner could be the region's tourism.
I think with the water coming into Lake Eyre, that has really generated a lot of interest in the region.
Phil Van Wiegen manages a flight tour business in Port Augusta that travels to these areas and says he's already seeing the positive effects from the skies.
It transforms it from a very arid desert to this green, lush, beautiful flowers.
The wildlife love to come out, be near the water.
With many of these areas only accessible by air, Phil is anticipating a tourism boom.
Early indication that it's going to be busy. We've had a lot of phone inquiry already.
The Easter break cues the start of the tourist season, but the RDA says it's seeing travellers begin their adventures earlier. And with Port Augusta the crossroads for many of these trips, officials expect many more in town.
Yeah, it's an amazing time to see the region.
Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
It may not come as a surprise that the top farming community in SA could be from the Eyre Peninsula, with Cummins nominated as the best agricultural town. The area is renowned for supporting sheep farming and grain production, and the local mayor says it's great to be recognised.
Cummins is certainly a can-do community, so they've sort of been known for that quite some time. You know, it's an encouragement for them to sort of keep going and see that we're really appreciative and thankful for it.
The winning town will be announced later this year. Community clubs in the mid-north just got a little bit safer thanks to a campaign to install defibrillators in public spaces. 300 of the machines have been installed statewide, ensuring club members first-class access during an emergency.
Giving first aid users a helping hand. The new defibrillator at Port Pirie's Golf Club providing cardiac arrest sufferers a fighting chance.
To get these defibrillators out in the community. We're focusing on Port Pirie, but there's 300 of them going to be in clubs and pubs.
$750,000 has been spent in a partnership between St John and Clubs SA to ensure regional areas have better access.
Far better to tell a story that we've been able to save a life than be reactive to a situation after.
Club members have used the installation as an opportunity to brush up on their first aid skills.
Really good idea. I've pushed a few people of our club the last couple of weeks to come to the event. A bit hard with work and things like that.
When it comes to cardiac arrest, every minute counts. In most emergency scenarios, paramedics will arrive after the first vital stages of required CPR.
Every minute you delay, the chance of survival decreases by 10%.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Donations to men's and women's sheds could soon become tax deductible under new proposed legislation. The government aiming to help secure financial stability for the community organisations.
It's the social community hub getting people out and about.
There are a lot of men in the community who've got nothing to do when they retire and they need to make social contact with other men.
Men's sheds around Australia heavily rely on donations to keep their doors open, something which is set to become a little more enticing. The federal government announcing last month that men's and women's sheds will have a deductible gift recipient status starting next year.
I think it'll reward people who would like to donate. This will probably encourage people to be more cooperative in giving it a grant.
The legislation means anyone who donates $2 or more to a shed can claim an income tax deduction, similar to charities such as Red Cross and World Vision.
Not only makes it a lot easier for sheds to fundraise, but opens a whole new door of them being able to access some very substantial money, especially when it comes to improving their infrastructure.
30 years ago, there were 100 sheds across Australia. Today, there's now over 1,000. Members catching up regularly to prevent social isolation.
We have a joke session to keep everybody happy because we reckon laughter's the best medicine.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. A new cricket pitch proposal for Broken Hill, and we'll have the weather details with Britt. Welcome back. Broken Hill's local cricket league could soon have a new venue to play at for future seasons. A synthetic wicket at an underutilised oval is an idea officials want to pursue.
Cricket at the Picton, it's got a nice ring to it.
That's basically our focus for attention at the moment.
The league knows there's no denying 2 of the city's ovals need rejuvenation. The Norm Fox is almost dirt and the Zinc may only have a couple years left. However, the Alma and Jube, the A-grade turf wickets, are in good shape. But for the B-graders who play on the Norm Fox and Zinc, it's tough times ahead. Could the Picton Oval be the saving grace?
It's an underutilised facility. We did have negotiations with the Picton Oval Committee early in the season regards putting a synthetic wicket in there.
Mr Johnston says the Oval Committee was open to installing a synthetic wicket for junior cricket. Junior matches are currently played at Jubilee Oval. Down the track, he hopes it could host B-grade matches to alleviate the stress on other venues.
We're probably not going to have it for next cricket season, but we certainly would have it for the cricket season afterwards.
Mr Johnston says the league will look at costings to install the wicket before seeking government grants. It's estimated the project could cost around $10,000, money he hopes the region can get.
But I'm sure we can also get some donations in kind as far as concrete and these sorts of things. So they're the sort of things that we'll be looking at in the off-season.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still on Broken Hill cricket, and the local league held its best and fairest awards overnight. The evening celebrating the best of junior and senior cricket over the 2018-19 season. North's Cody Howard took home the Dennis Watts Cricketer of the Year medal for the A grade. Cody scored a total 367 runs and took 25 wickets across the season.
Probably one of my better seasons for a long time, and pretty honoured to win the Dennis Watts medal.
Cody also played a vital part in North's A-grade premiership win, scoring a classy 71 runs. A forum looking into the future of the Eyre Peninsula's football and netball leagues will take place in Woodner this weekend. The meeting will focus on the long-term sustainability of the regional leagues. An investigational report into the Maudlock Shield reshuffle will also be on the table.
We're looking at trying to get a survey completed by the clubs so we can work out the infrastructure requirements for the potential to get regional funding to assist clubs in that.
Tony Irvine says it's important for sporting communities to come together and review current rules and regulations. The meeting is free to attend, but registration is required. For more details, contact them on Facebook. And time to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Britt.
Thanks, Casey. We saw clear and sunny skies today. Port Augusta and Whyalla both with a top of 29. Port Lincoln 27, Broken Hill 26, Port Pirie 28 and Adelaide 27. A high pressure system over the Tasman weakened this afternoon. Tomorrow, a weak trough will move across the coast as another high pressure system moves south off the Bight. On the water, east to southeasterlies at 15 knots with seas at 1 metre. And we've got another mostly sunny day ahead. Port Augusta 31, Whyalla 29, Port Lincoln 28, Coffin Bay 24, Woodner 32, Corn 30, Broken Hill 29, Port Pirie 30, Clare 29, Cleve and Kadina both 30, Adelaide 29. Further ahead now, Port Lincoln looking mostly fine on Thursday with a top of 30 degrees. Friday, winds up to 45 kilometres an hour. Similar conditions for Cleve and Woodner, both looking sunny on Thursday with strong winds expected on Friday. Whyalla sunny with tops in the early 30s, Saturday partly cloudy. Port Augusta bright and sunny days ahead, maximum sitting in the mid-30s, Thursday and Friday, but dropping back to 26 on Saturday. Kadina 31 on Thursday. Port Pirie sticking in the mid-30s before cooling down for the weekend. Much the same at Clare. Broken Hill 31 on Thursday, Friday 32, a top of 29 on Saturday. And that's it for today's weather, Casey. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Britt. And that's the local news this Tuesday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.